So today I'm pleased to announce that on behalf of the New South Wales Government, New South Wales will be taking an important, critical and big step from the 1st of June, where pubs, cafes, restaurants and the like will be able to have up to 50 patrons. However, this will be with very strict guidelines in place. It has to be in adherence to the 4-square-metre rule. So some venues are small in space. They will only be able to have as many customers as is allowed in that space according to the 4-square-metre rule, and nobody will be able to take bookings of more than 10 people, a maximum booking of 10 people, and also nobody will be able to be standing up in these venues. You have to be seated at a table, even if it's a pub. You have to be seated at the table, you have to be served at the table, there is no mingling, no standing around. There are strict guidelines in place which will ensure that we can do this safely. The task force reported to me that through consultation with the industry, there was too much confusion in having a further step in the approach. Many venues differ from across the state, and even venues in regional areas, which the Deputy Premier will discuss, would have been hampered if we took that extra step in between. But what we're doing between now and the 1st of June is to make sure that the rules, regulations and guidelines are in place so that everybody adheres to them strictly, very strictly. I want to thank the Deputy Premier for his contribution, especially in relation to regional New South Wales, and he will make some comments. The Treasurer, who obviously has the most cause for ensuring we get those jobs back. Losing 221,000 jobs in April was a disaster. We don't want to see that continue. We want to stem the tide, but also we want to do it safely. Now, Minister Dominello, as the Minister for Customer Service, is in charge of regulation across the state. He will be the one that will be ensuring that the industry has very clear guidelines on what they need to do, how strict we are and how safe we need to be during the course of the pandemic. And of course, Minister Hazzard, whose advice through the Chief Medical Officer we've relied upon to make sure this is a safe way of getting back to business and a safe way of ensuring that those industries have a chance of surviving. We already know that for many of these businesses, they won't be coming back at all. But for those who are viable, for those who've managed to hang on, we're ensuring that we can work together to provide that safe environment. Things will be very different. Imagine even something simple as having joint cutlery on a table won't be able to exist anymore. A simple buffet won't exist anymore. A communal food bowl won't exist anymore. There will be very strict guidelines to ensure this happens safely, because the last thing we want to do is have to shut businesses down because they haven't complied, and the last thing we want to do is go backwards. Now, we know this is a big step, but the regulations and rules we'll be putting in place will be very strict to make sure safety is paramount. But it is a significant time in the history of our state, and we have a no regrets policy, firstly in keeping the community safe, making sure everything we do is to protect lives and save lives, but also in relation to making sure people aren't long-term unemployed and that we can bounce back from the devastating economic shock